Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for spending this hour with me. We are going to have a great show as usual. You know what I say. This is your program. This is your show. Politics Done Right belongs to whom? Politics Done Right belongs to you. Anyhow, folks, remember this is a call-in show. I ask thee, I plead with thee to give us a call and put your input into the show. 646-716-5812 is the number. 646-716-5812. Today we're going to have a great discussion. We're going to have a great discussion about the other, not necessarily just the other immigration, not necessarily immigration, because you know what? All of that is a ruse. Is a ruse, nothing more than a ruse. So that is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about it in detail. Folks, if you're just joining us, I ask thee to please go ahead and share this on your wall. Share this on your Facebook page, Facebook wall, Twitter page, Twitter, Twitter does, well, you know what that is. Instagram, and the Yellow Man. I can never remember the Yellow Man, as well as Instagram, but Tumblr, all these places. If we want to get the progressive message out, if we want to ensure that people can get what they need out of what we do, then we must do that. So first thing I ask you to do is to go ahead and share this. It's going to be worth the while of those in your domain, in those in your social circle, in your frame, who listen to the program, because we tell the truth here. We expand on issues that the mainstream media will not touch. We make sure that people understand what is really going on in the country and not what others lead them to believe that it is. That is what we do. And you know what is the difference between us as well and the mainstream media? This is bi-directional. I listen to what you write on Facebook Live, under our live program, or later on Blog Talk Radio. If you call in, it doesn't matter if you're a cell phone or Skype or whatever, 646-716-5812, you can determine the direction of the show. You have input. You can actually say in real time on the show, or not necessarily in real time after the show, what you want what you want said, and that you also know that you are going to be heard. So please, if you're just joining us, share this program on your page. The progressive message has got to get out. And you know what? A lot of folks that think they're conservatives right now, they will absorb the progressive message, and it doesn't matter that they're going to continue calling themselves conservatives. It doesn't matter that they're going to continue calling themselves libertarians or whatever, because all we care about as progressives is policy. And as long as they're with us on policy, because they know the policies that we support them as well. We don't care what they call themselves, as long as we're working together, because we're all in the same boat. So folks, if you're just joining us, please go ahead, share this program on your wall. It is essential to do so. Remember, this is a call-in show. I'm going to do this real quickly before I get into the core of the show. And that is, it's a call-in show, and we are a show that asks those of you who are able to please subscribe. Go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Later on, I'll come again later in the show and ask you as well. Be subscribers to the show. Support this show because it's yours. And in doing so, what it says is that you're investing in getting the progressive message out, just like those on the other side invest to get the lies out. But what we do, we give you the truth. Anyhow, what are we going to be talking about today, folks? We're going to be the title of the show today is, let me get it right. The title of the show today is what? The title of the show is, This is How They Divide and Conquer. We fall for it at our own peril, folks. Remember what I've always said? We fall for it at our own peril. Do not let them have us looking at all in all these different directions to find who the culprit is. Because all of us, I don't care if you're libertarian, you're conservative, you're liberal, you're progressive, whatever you want to call yourself, there's only one group that's really terrorizing us. And what they do is they make sure that we believe it is essential that we terrorize each other, because if we do so, we're not looking at where the problem is. And I will always tell you where the problem is, my friends. I will always tell you where the problem is. For those of you who've never come to Politics Done Right, today is we don't have a guest today. So what I do is we have two kinds of shows, right? And every one of these shows, ultimately, you run. If you want to call in and change the topic or whatever, you can do that. But today we don't have anybody that we're interviewing, but we bring in progressive people from all over the country. And I can tell you, of all the progressive folks that have come in so far, only 2 have lost their elections. Okay, and by the skin, not by a whole bunch. Well, one was by quite a bit, but we bring progressives in here. We're going to have Beto O'Rourke. We're going to have a whole lot of people out here as we get more into the summer, as we get into the fall. We're going to have these folks because you're going to have to know what they stand for, and they will be on Politics Done Right, and they will be out there telling you why it is that we must vote progressive. But it's more than that. You have to be the one out there as well, pushing the notion, pushing the narrative, telling people what are progressives going to do for Americans. Anyhow, folks, look. Subtitle. Let me give a title of the show because a lot of new people just came in. But folks, what I ask you to do, if you're just coming in, please share this program on your wall. Please share this program on your Facebook page. Please share this program on your, again, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, all these other social media domains. Anyhow, title of the show. This is how they divide and conquer. We fall for it at our own peril. Second subtitle. The immigration disaster that we are experiencing right now is no accident at all. It is not an accident. Trump knows the outrage is temporary, but the divide and conquer is longer lasting. And that is important that you understand that little subtitle. The immigration disaster that we are experiencing right now is no accident, people. Trump knows the outrage is temporary, but the divide and conquer is longer lasting. Anyone who watched Fox News last night could see Lauren Ingraham and the other nerd, I don't remember his name, on the show. The things that they had to say, not only about immigrants, but the things that they had to say, claiming that, oh, these kids are just on a vacation. Understand what we're doing. And then when the other one says, oh, those people care more about those foreigners than they do our own people, those immigrants than they do our own people. That's the seed that's getting planted, folks. It is the seed. Because the next time somebody in Appalachia feels pain, they're going to look and remember the news that said, it's a lie, but they're going to remember the news that says, oh, those politicians don't care about us here in Appalachia. They just care about those foreigners that are coming in here. I mean, it sounds silly. If you're an educated person, if things are going well for you, it doesn't sound like that matters. But when things are rough and those seeds are planted, they become time bombs. I tell you, one of the reasons I tell all my folk, I will always support the Trump voter. I'll always support the conservative voter. I'll always support, well, of course, I'm a left-wing liberal, so I support my lefties. I support my Democrats. I support everybody. But I preach all the times that there is a puppeteer out there that is programming American citizens, right? And if I really believe that, it's not only that I believe that, I know that. I have to hold the hands of my brothers and my sisters, whether they be Trumpist or not. Right? You know why? And some of you, I understand, for my liberals and progressives who just can't stomach it, that is fine. I hold nothing against you for not taking that modal, right? Not everybody can do it. I can sit down and hear crap all day. And I can, when you're done telling me, I can still come to you and say, okay, here's my part. Let's see where we intersect. And let's see where I can convince you otherwise. Or let's see where I can at least have you thinking. Because if you believe the truth, and that is people are being handled, then those that allowed themselves to be handled, a good percentage of them are winnable. A good percentage of them that allow themselves to be handled may not have a strong mind. A good percent of them that are handled may just have other problems. Yes, there is a core that they want to do what they're doing, but those are not the people we're talking about. And progressives, that's what I'm talking about. Anyhow, anyone who believes that Trump and his evil minions do not know what they're doing is sadly mistaken. It is all about the divide and conquer scheme, completely about the divide and conquer scheme. They will take the incoming flak and maybe even flinch at the end. But the real discussion they want to create would already have metastasized us against them. Us against them. Americans against immigrants. Black against whites. Whites against Latino. Latino against Asian. You know what? Stupid, right? That's what they want. And if we do that, they win. Because we're fighting each other instead of fighting who they is. And the blog of the week, written by a professor or a psychologist professor who I had on the show 2 weeks ago, he wrote another really good article. That is what I am going to be using for the blog of the week. Anyhow, and now, or continuing, you see, they have planted a seed that will grow whenever Trump and his minions apply the fertilizer and water through calculated rhetoric. So the calculated rhetoric, right now, even though there's a good chance that Trump is going to find some way to concede in a way that doesn't look like he's conceding to put these families back together. And I think they already have a template for doing that, right? But he doesn't care about having had to do that because he's laid the seed. Fox News laid the seed for him last night. Why do they care so much about those children? In Appalachia, don't you have a whole lot of white kids that are overdosing? Don't you have a whole lot of white kids that are doing bad? They're putting so much interest into them brown kids on the border. What about those kids in Ohio, the Appalachian part of Ohio? What about those kids in the Appalachian part of Pennsylvania? The seed have been planted. The seed have been planted. Fox News did a great job of it last night and a few nights ago. They keep doing it, right? They don't care about Americans. And when they say Americans, they're not talking about those in the cities or whatever, because remember, they have made those folks in the cities almost foreigners themselves. They don't care about Americans, man. So he's consolidating a base and hoping the disease spreads because there's something called peer pressure. And it works, man. It works. And that is the progressive message, or what? That is what progressives have got to fight continuously. It never ends. There's a time progressives think they can elect a few people and things are going to be okay. No, 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 no. It never, ever ends. Okay, so let's first remember that it never, ever ends. The fight continues over and over, repeats itself over and over again. So, and how do they? And now that they have the seed planted, a time bomb. They know unless extricated, all of them won't grow. They won't all grow. But many of them will grow. This is an unending fight with an evil that we will be fighting forever. And you know what, folks? We must. So I want you guys to get ready for the blog of the week, because this guy that actually, I write all the blogs of the week, but every now and then I run across one that is so damn good that I have to say, you know what? I'm going to hold off on that. I write 5 blogs of the week every week. So I don't know what I call them blog of the week. I should call them blog of the day, but I do 5 of them every single week. But this one was too damn good. The name of the author, Roy Idelson. I had him on the show 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. And what he gave was the what do you call that? He pretty much gave the disease that's afflicting many Americans right now in their mind that allows the colorization of Donald Trump's ideas in their minds. That's what he did. Well, this time around, he has another one. And I've got to get to that other one. So, folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Está bien, mis hermanos. Está bien, mis hermanos. Vamos a ver lo que te voy a decir ahora. This is it. They are different from us, the profiteers of prejudice. I love it, man. So, folks, listen to this. To my white folks, man, I need you right now to listen to this because you are the star. You are the star that they have to corrupt. You are the star that they have to get to. And they've been doing a good job. But in the process of getting to you, they've been screwing you. You know? They've been telling you all along, it's them people, man. It's them black people. It's them Latinos. Those immigrants. All those things that they've been telling you. But in the process, baby, they've been screwing you. It's not them people. Grammatically, it's not those people. Not at all. So here is El Señor, and here it goes. They're different from us. It is a favorite mind game of the self-serving 1% when they want to stifle broad opposition to their agenda. By manipulating an understanding of what's happening, what's right, what's possible. This psychological appeal takes advantage of prejudice to promote distrust and division within and across communities. You break up the community from within and you break up the community from without. They have to spend so much time rebuilding themselves into a cohesive unit again that they have no time to realize that the ones that really holds the strings are the ones screwing you. Today's greed-driven plutocrats know that solidarity with the disadvantaged and mistreated is jeopardized whenever differences like race, gender, and religion are emphasized or exaggerated. That's why they highlight these differences while downplaying similarities in the concerns and aspirations we all share. If this ploy works, it divides groups that might otherwise form a more united and more potent resistance. When such coalitions fail to materialize, the winners are the defenders of extreme inequality who've long ago forsaken the common good. So I ask you a special question. If you're a white person listening to this show today, ask yourself, what makes you so different than your Latino neighbor, than your Muslim neighbor? Ask yourself that question. When that guy or woman gets home from work and goes into that home, what do they do differently? What do they want differently? Ask yourself that question before you hate anybody. Before you start thinking anybody is so different from you. Ask yourself, what do they do in their everyday life that's different from you? What is it that they're doing that is so different from you? And also ask yourself, what are the things that you want? What are the things that they want? What are the things that they're getting that you're not getting under the same scenario? Ask yourself those questions. Don't be told things by those who try to control. Ask that. I ask you to do that. So important. So important. But continuing. What makes these let's put it. What makes these different from us appeal psychologically effective is that we tend to view in-group members more favorably than out-group members. And I completely screwed up that line. So let me read it the way it should be read. What makes these "they're different from us" appeals psychologically effective is that we tend to view in-group members more favorably than out-group members. In other words, if I'm in a church, my church brothers and sisters, I think of us as a cohesive unit and it's all about us. Sometimes we forget about those outside. If I'm in a black community, I may be insular to that black community and not look at it as a general. That is one of the important things about integration, right? What it does is it allows folks to see that we all put our pants on the same way. We all really have the same struggles and all of that. And all the differences, the real differences, are those that people inject, usually in sort of using fallacies, and create a false image in our mind, a false reality that then we react to. Anyhow, when we are persuaded that someone belongs to the same group we usually perceive them as more trustworthy. We hold them in higher regard, and we're more willing to share scarce resources with them. In part, this positive bias reflects our belief that these individuals have a lot in common with us. Even if we've never met them, we imagine that their values, attitudes, and life experiences are probably similar to our own. However, if we see people as members of a different group instead, then we don't care as much about their welfare, and there's a greater chance that we'll view them as potential adversaries rather than allies. Such divisiveness is exactly what the 1% want. Now, Dr. Adelson says that's what the 1% wants. I go deeper. It's what they must have. Because if they don't have that, Americans start asking questions. Because as opposed to spending all your time figuring out how you can one-up the other group, how you can get more than the other group, if you're working as a cohesive unit, you start to ask the question, all these groups are afflicted in general by the same problems. What's the genesis of those problems? The plutocracy, the 1%. They have rigged the system so that you can't get anywhere. I'll give you a quick example before I continue with the blog. They give you the semblance of a tax cut to a few. Everybody got a little. Most people got a little piece of stuff. Maybe you get $10 more a week in your paycheck, but the big guys got hundreds of thousands, millions more, right? But in order to give those big checks to them people out there that got the big ones, it wasn't enough to just give you that little bit of money. They also had to find a way to take it back, right? So in the process of doing the tax cut scam that the president just passed, he also had to ensure and cut services that would have gone to the Affordable Care Act, which means you're going to pay a hell of a lot more. So you may get $10 more a week, but it's going to cost you $15 more a week for their health care, because it's not only the money they must take back from you, it's also the extra money that you are responsible to give to the wealthy, who got even a bigger tax cut. You see? It is, whenever folks talk about the middle class and the masses getting something, check out the prices of everything else afterwards and see how quickly that which was given to you dissipates. So, I mean, don't be fooled. And that's what they want us to look at, the immediacy. They don't want us to think too much. That's what Politics Done Right is here for you to, not to tell you stuff, to ask you to listen, to ask you don't take things at face value, to ask you to look behind the curtain, because there's a hell of a lot there. Now, continuing, my dear friends, the ambitions of 1%ers don't require that they all hold explicitly racist or prejudiced attitudes about Hispanics, African Americans, Muslims, or other groups, although some, like the great Donald Trump and Attorney General Jeff Sessions, obviously do. But even those who don't can still take advantage of the fact that bigotry in the United States continues to divide individuals and groups whose collective futures could be brighter if unwarranted suspicions gave way to mutual respect and support. Law professor Ian Ane Lopez has described this approach as strategic racism, purposeful efforts to use racial animus as leverage to gain material wealth, political power, or heightened social standing. Journalist Naomi Klein has similarly noted white supremacy, misogyny, homophobia, and transphobia have been the elite's most potent defense against genuine democracy. That is so on the money. You think about this. If you didn't worry, if we weren't like crabs, those others are starting to get ahead. We got to be like crabs and pull them down. We got to pull them down. Why do we have to pull them down? Because if we didn't pull them down, we can't go up. Is that true? Hell no. But you know what? The plutocracy doesn't want you to know that it's true. Look at Fox last night. Fox News last night was telling you that your government doesn't care about you, but they sure do care about those brown people. That was the message. The message was to tell all those people, those Trump voting people, mostly white people, that those brown people's kids are getting taken care of. Your kids aren't. Your kids aren't. That's what they want you to think. That's a subliminal message that they're trying to put out there. They're not telling you that a lot of the destabilization in Central America is American induced. They would not tell you that a lot of the destabilization over in Africa, Northern Africa, is the doing of the Western countries. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that, yes, you should have a responsibility for those people that are leaving the violence, that are leaving the destabilization in these areas because of policies that we have done inside of these other countries. So of course it is our responsibility to help clean it up. But no, we go ahead and we make a mess. And then when the effects of that mess start to touch our doors, we want to say, who are those people? We can't be taking care of them people. We can't do that. Folks, if you're just joining us, thank you so kindly for being here. Please go ahead and share this program on your Facebook page, your Facebook wall, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, because folks need to understand this. All of us need to realize we are in the same boat. We either sink or swim together, because the ones that we fear are not the ones we should fear. The ones that we think have our backs are the ones that are really the genesis of Americans' terrorization. It is so important. It is so important that we understand not only the narrative, but we understand the reality. Folks, when I'm done with this, the telephone number 646-716-5812, but we still have some more to go with this blog of the week. We have a little bit more to go on this. So here we go. The ambitions of one percenters don't require that they all hold. I did that one already. So I'm sorry. I skipped that one. Here we go. Today, it is clear that the leadership of the Republican Party and many titans of corporate America are comfortable supporting or at least acquiescing to a litany of racist and discriminatory White House policies. Why? This reward includes billionaire tax cuts, windfall profits, deregulation of their industries, and other favors reserved for them alone. Remember, they can only be 1% if they're screwing you. They can only have that much more money, that much more wealth, only if they're taking it from you. And I'm talking about in our current capitalist economic model. There are a lot of other economic models. I prefer another economic model that really rewards work and really rewards humanity, or really stands for humanity. That is what that is what I'm looking for. You can call it whatever the hell you want to call it. But I there are economic systems we can build. Remember, economic systems are man-made. They're not divine. They're man-made. We can make an economic system, tweak it as necessary, but one that is not a detriment to humanity as what we live in right now. So anyhow, their reward includes billionaire tax cuts, windfall profits, deregulation of their industries, and other favors reserved for them alone. For some, this is perhaps a devil's bargain. For others, it's undoubtedly considered a win-win situation. Consider 3 examples. And here we go. 3 examples. Consider 3 examples. GOP leaders and party loyalists, right, have largely accepted Trump's promise termination of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival program, DACA, his pardon of the infamous Arizona tent city sheriff Joe Arpaio, the ruthless dragnets of immigration communities by Immigration and Custom Enforcement, and the immoral and traumatizing separation of young migrant children from their parents arrested at the border. Actions like these find cover in anti-immigrant sentiment among the U.S. public. Meanwhile, the draconian policies are a boon for private security contractors and even more so for profit prisons corporations, their executives, and wealthy investors who eagerly add to their net worth from the expanded use of these detention facilities. Here's a lowdown on that. That is a profound paragraph, and a lot of people don't quite get it. This evil that they're doing at the border right now is very profitable for a few, right? Right here in Houston, they're trying to turn one of our warehouses or something into a holding tank for these kids. Right here in Houston, Texas, that is what they're doing as well. Somebody's making a lot of money refurbishing these places. Somebody's making a lot of money to feed these people en masse. Somebody's making a whole lot of money, but it's a concentrated making of money, right? Because as we notice this, they're not saying, we're not going to say, kick you out of America if you come in. No. Because the plutocracy can't pilfer you if we just turn it around and let them go. No, we got to have a process, man. We're going to do all kinds of things claiming we want to stop the traffic. But they know the traffic isn't going to stop. What they do know is if we do things like, hey, separate the parents and the kids. Now we're going to have a company that handle the psychological needs of these kids. We're going to have a place to put these kids. We're going to have the companies that come and feed those kids away from their parents. But we all knew a lot of these people coming over have supports in many communities across the country. So the efficient thing to do, the cost-effective thing to do as a country, the people coming over, if they got in, give them their court date, send them off to live with their families. Or, for whatever, those that have it. Immediately, cost cuts, right? Doesn't cost a lot. But you see, the incarceration of these people, the maltreatment of these people, comes with profits. That is the intent. Don't sit down and think that these people really don't want these foreigners coming in, because what they know is that the foreigners are going to come in. What they know is that the plutocracy themselves love the idea of hiring illegal, I can't call them illegal, undocumented immigrants. Because the only reason the supply is here is that the demand is here. Don't believe supply side economics. It is demand side economics. In other words, these people know that coming to America, they can get a job. That's demand side economics. Supply side economics was never something that works. Supply side economics, theoretically speaking, is depressive. I don't care what any economists tell you. Just look at the reality, right? Economists have a lot of stuff to tell you. Look at the reality. So that paragraph that I just read is profound, my dear friends. It's profound. It's not about the immigrants. It's not about immigrants taking stuff away from us. None of that is the issue. The issue is twofold. Make a hell of a lot of money from these immigrants that are coming over. And when I say make a lot of money, it's not money coming from the immigrants because they don't have any money. It's having your tax dollars go to the plutocracy, the people who own the prisons, the people who own the feed stores, the people who own the buildings, the people who own all these things are going to be paid quite a bit of money to put all these people up. So they don't want them gone. They want them coming. And then they're going to kick them out because they're going to come back in again. And the money flowing will continue. And in the process, they got a twofer. The twofer is to lie to you and tell you these darn immigrants are coming here to take your job and Americans are treating them better than they treat you. So you got to keep Trump, who hates immigrants, and going to keep locking them up. So Trump makes his good deal by you hating the immigrants and voting for him because you hate the immigrants. And he make it good because all his buddies who owns prisons, who owns all these food stores or whatever, they're going to make a killing too. You see, you're the stooge. And then who pays the bill? All those middle class folk that pay the taxes, we pay the bill. We have to understand it. And this is not, you can check all of this, right? You can check all the people that are going to be making money. You don't have to take what I'm saying at face value. Check it. Check the information. All right, continuing with the blog of the week, we have the same dynamics are readily apparent in the unequal treatment of black Americans in our criminal justice system. In particular, they are far more likely to be targets of stop and frisk, are arrested and prosecuted for minor offenses at higher rates, and are given longer prison sentences for comparable crimes. At the same time, research shows that white Americans become stronger supporters of mass incarceration when they believe that black Americans are the ones who are being incarcerated, when they believe or being incarcerated disproportionately affected. Again, such racial biases among the public help protect the revenue stream of a variety of companies that provide services to prisoners, telecom, food, healthcare, as well as those that benefit from below minimum wage inmate labor. It's a game. It's a game where your fellow Americans, different groups, are used in different ways. Yeah, they use black and white, or rather black and Latinos and people of color to fill the prisons, right? It's easier to put those away because they have less resources in the aggregate. We're talking in the aggregate here. They have less resources, and it makes they make you, but you watch your TV on the local news. The local news make you believe that all the crime committed in these cities, in these areas, are crimes that people of color commit, and very few times do you see a white person committing any serious crime on TV. But you go to court, and somehow crime looks different. Crime looks different when you look at deferred adjudication. Crime looks different when you look at all the people on probation. It looks very different. That's by design. So now, but for all of those who think, okay, well, I have some privilege now, so it may not be good, but I'm white, so I have, at least that's not going to happen to me in the kind of numbers that it happened to them, so I'm cool. Brothers and sisters, you know something? Afterwards, when they're done with one group, growth has to continue. In a capitalist society, growth has to continue. The most important thing is growth. And the continued growth comes from where? You! So first, you are paying for their incarceration. Now, you will be, some more of you will be incarcerated. And those that are left will pay even more of the incarceration. The movement of wealth from the middle class to the top. Middle class to the top. Because you're paying. You're paying. Don't ever think you're not. In a similar way, defense and homeland security contractors are among the businesses that land enormous paydays because Americans hold distrustful prejudices, and they're different from us views of Muslims and Muslim Americans. Indeed, some see all members of the faith as potential terrorists. That's made it potentially palatable or even advantageous for Trump and other party leaders to call for the tracking of Muslims and a travel ban on predominantly Muslim countries. Fox News personalities simultaneously feed both our countries' Islamophobia and the television network bottom line by insisting that terrorists are Muslims and that Sharia law may someday replace the consultation or rather the Constitution of the United States. And people buy it. People have bought it. To those that know quite a bit, you wonder, can somebody really believe that crap? The answer is, yes, they do. Unfortunately, they do. That is why you have programs like Politics Done Right. That is why I ask you to share these things. My intentions, my hope is that in sharing these programs, in letting people know what's going on, they will enlighten themselves. They will start to realize that it's a game that's been played on them. They're the protagonists in the game, and they're the ones that are getting hurt. They're the ones that are getting screwed, and ultimately, the spoils never go to you. You may have the semblance of some spoils coming to you, but in the long run, based on our economic model, eventually they take it right back from you and more. And that is why very few of Americans right now are building a nest egg. Very few Americans right now are building quality of life. They're doing all kinds of things. They're doubling up in homes. They're sharing more. They're going to a gig economy. Because as the plutocracy extracts more and more, it's coming out of you. It's coming out of you. Folks, I needed to share these programs, and I need people to understand this. They must understand this, because that is the only way we're going to change what's happening. And the difference between me and a whole lot of other progressives is I don't only want to change what's happening. I want to take back what was stolen peacefully, but I want to take back what was stolen. I want laws written. Just like they were written to steal from the middle class, I want them written to get repaid from the upper classes that stole it. All right, that's all. I'm not saying want anything else other than that. So, in all of these instances, the conclusion is simple. When the 1% encourages prejudice and discrimination, or when they merely fail to use their enormous influence to challenge racism and bigotry, they're prioritizing the preservation of their tremendous material advantages over the creation of a more equal and more decent society. Making matters even worse, their efforts to cultivate distrust and disunity often succeed in spurring disadvantaged groups of all backgrounds to start blaming each other rather than directing their sights at a key source of their shared prevails, or rather shared travails. And who are those? The plutocrats themselves. I talk about plutocrats all the time. This isn't me today, though. This is Dr. Roy Idelson. And I love to see that a guy that is schooled to get his doctorate degree, psychology and other subjects, with this measly engineer. Well, I think, I think engineers are one of the toughest subjects, but still. The idea that somebody in the social sciences agrees with the engineer, I find there's intersectionality there, is wonderful. It's wonderful. Continuing to the end, last paragraph. If we want to focus on the kind of differences that truly matter, we should turn our attention to the striking divergences between the documented policy preferences of the 1% compared to the rest of us. In a nutshell, Americans in general are much stronger supporters of a higher minimum wage, labor unions to strengthen workers' rights, affordable health care for everyone, a more progressive tax structure, higher taxes for higher income earners and corporations, government initiatives to decrease unemployment, and a stronger social welfare state or safety net for those facing adversity. These are all worthy and achievable goals. The first step is to recognize and reject the manipulative, they are different from us, mind game that's designed to divide us. Let's stop it, brothers and sisters. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. Let's stop it. You know something? Whoever you are, you're my team. Whatever you are, you're in my team. I don't care who you are. I don't care your religion. I don't care your party. I don't care about any of that. What I want us to do is work together and get this stuff done. Take back what's ours. Take back what was stolen. Well, folks, it's your time now. And please give me a call if you want to do it you'll be right here on air. 646-716-5812. Again, if you are on Blog Talk Radio, same number, 646-716-5812. Let me go now to my great people, because folks, there is no other listener base than the listeners of Politics Done Right. You guys are the bomb. You guys are smart. I love reading what you. Even if I don't get to read it on air, I when I'm done with the program and I'm processing it, I really sit down and read them, because I tell you what, you folks are very, very insightful. All right, let's start. Okay, Michael Dean Newton, welcome aboard, my dear brother. Hello. Michael Rudnin is I like to call Michael my researcher. These numbers should be higher, but of course, conservatives have become a personality cult. Yes, it is. Okay, Michael Rudnin again gets worse. The Trump administration needs to find space for terror. Yes, he does. And they're looking here in Houston, too. Let's go to somebody else now. Greg Diggs. How you doing, Greg? Trump has bankrupt 6 companies, and now we have given this ignorant man opportunity to bankrupt these US of A, and will be able to accomplish this before we end of his first term. And you're right, Mr. Willies. Thank you so kindly. Let's see. Matthew Thielman, tribalism. Yeah, but you know what I think? We have allowed tribalism to have a pigment base or an ethnic base or a religious base. I want to change the definition of I want to change tribalism. I want to make it that it is the middle class and poor tribe and the plutocratic tribe. And the more we communicate among each other, between each other, that's how we're going to find that out. Okay, my favorite conservative, Danielle Ledoux. It is amazing how Democrats put the law in place that separates children from their parents. It is progressive groups who fund educational campaigns training migrants how to game the system. Oh, man. You've been watching Fox News, Ledoux. That's a lie. That's an entire lie. It's not the Democrats who passed laws that forced the executive to split families up. It's a lie. You can say it 1,000,000 times if you want to. It's a lie. Fox News can say it 1,000,000 times if they want to. It's a lie. You want to know what the truth is? Go look. Instead of, Daniel, I love you, brother, but listen to me. Instead of parroting what you hear on Fox News, why don't you ask Trump, or to put it better, Sanders, the person who is speaking for Trump, ask her to point out the sentence in the law that tells them they need to separate those kids from their parents on a misdemeanor charge. Please, go find it. Stop being a parrot for Fox News, my dear brother. Find it. If you find it, I'll put you on air to say it, and I'll apologize to you, if that is true. But you see, I looked it up already. It's a lie. Okay, Robert Mark. I believe there is a Nazi on here. Leave my conservative brothers. That they're not. They're just a bit confused, okay? But they're very good people. Daniel Ledoux. Michael, intersectionality was invented by the liberal intelligentsia and is embraced and promised by the left. That is a fact. I cannot debate the ignorant. Please, because that statement wasn't too smart, my dear Ledoux. It wasn't too smart. Of course, intersectionality means something. Daniel Ledoux, you are my buddy. We have intersectionality. You're a white guy. We have more intersections than you do with Donald Trump. Mr. Daniel Ledoux, my conservative brother, I have more in common with you as a black man, as a black American, than you do with Donald Trump, than you do with the 1% you so feverishly defend. And that is one of the things I've got to try. If I ever get that over to people like you, I would have succeeded and the nation would have changed. Because I'm trying to tell my white brothers and sisters, and I have most of my listeners, in fact, are white. And what I always say is this: we have more in common than you do with Trump and all these other guys. Right? You do. You do. And when we realize the power of that statement, when we realize the power of that statement, Then we gonna make a change, brothers and sisters. Then we gonna make a change. Okay, Daniel. Let's see, Daniel Ledo. Let me guess, you've been watching Prager. Come on, be nice to Ledo, Mr. Rednan. Okay, Darren Johnson. Daniel, you aren't too bright. I suggest that you actually get an education. Look, I'm gonna tell you something about many people. There's this stuff known as willful ignorance. You see, I think most people are very smart. But in order to justify an outcome that we want, sometimes we succumb to something known as willful ignorance. And that's what's happening here. But that's okay. That's okay. All we want to do is plant seeds so that when you decide to get rid of that willful ignorance cap, you can say, and you'll never say it to me or to my followers or to any of these guys, but eventually you'll say, you know what? I better do what's right. I better do what's right. Okay, Daniel Ledo. Darren, I actually know what intersectionality is. Really, Daniel? It didn't sound like you did because I don't know, Daniel. It didn't sound like you did, but maybe I'm wrong. Sounds like we like exactly what guys like Al Sharpton, divide by race and profit. Actually, no, Daniel. If you listen to my show, I try to unite because there's when people say there's only one race, they're right? We have a lot of differences like in pigmentation and in nose structure and eye structure, all that kind of stuff. Who knows why, but we do. But it's only one race. We've allowed the plutocracy to create these subdivisions. I always preach, race is a social construct. As such, we cannot let those on top split us up. They've done it for centuries. We can't allow it. If we allow it, we play into the game. If we play into the game, we're the ones who lose. Black, white, Chinese, everything lose. Because the plutocracy is not white. The plutocracy is whoever can get there. White supremacy has controlled the plutocracy for a long time. But as others have learned to play the game and join the group, they're not very... why do you think Kanye West doesn't have a problem hanging with Donald Trump? Kanye West look at Donald Trump and he says, yeah, the man is a racist, but when Donald Trump see race, if you're covered in green, suddenly your race isn't black or Latino or whatever, it's suddenly green. And see, that's what you got to understand. Oprah can walk in different circles, man. We have to understand these concepts. It's only us little people that sit down and talk about black and white and Latino and all that kind of stuff. Them big boys say, okay, we're going to use that against them. But when Oprah's sitting down with Donald Trump, do you think Oprah scold Donald Trump for any extended period of time? I can imagine a conversation with Oprah and Donald Trump. Hey, Don, what's up? Not bad. Hey, Dan, you're going to have to stop that BS about that racing. But come on, Oprah. How else is a Republican going to win, man? Come on, Donald. But, come on. You got to stop it. If people see me with you hanging this way, they're going to start giving me a hard time, Don. Come on, Oprah. Give me a break here, Oprah. Come on. We got to stick together. All right, well, look, try and tone it down. Okay, Don? All right, man. All right. Then Kanye West, same thing, right? You see all these other rich folks that go out there and they're hanging with Donald Trump. Don't you ever dare believe that a whole lot of these rich folks talking about, oh, bad Donald Trump is, don't like what he's doing because it's making their pocketbooks a hell of a lot fatter. Folks, we're being played. Race is a social construct. We're all the same. The social construct should not reign. Okay? Let's get smart. That's the biggest fear that they have. Okay, Daniel. Oh boy. Well, you sure as shoot cannot call a system like you did. Oh boy. All right, Daniel. Let's see what Terra Lopres Selby has to say. Lompres. Darren Johnson, do you know him personally? If not, then why waste time trying to be an alpha male? What exactly is your problem with him? Your hate and bigotry to be an alpha male? You seem like a hater. Cheer up. Be happy. Carmack has not backfired. Madre mia. That's a good one. Okay, from Daniel Ledo. No, let's go to Michael Cisak, my other conservative. Darren, actually, Daniel is right on this. Saul Alinsky published his rules for radicals, which outlines much of which Egberto is talking about. Intersectionality is part of the rules Lansky put out. Wow. I've never read Lansky, He must be a smart man if he's saying that. I've never read him. But I tell you folks, we don't have to create intersectionality, right? Because Daniel is acting as, or not Daniel, Mike Cisak is acting as if Paula Linsky is trying to create intersectionality. If you understand the concept, you realize this. Intersectionality is there. We all have the same issues. The plutocracy are screwing us all. That's an intersectionality. Our children are going to underperform in schools caused by what the plutocracy is doing. That is intersectionality. We all have those same problems. Our healthcare is going up at a higher rate than inflation, which means eventually many of us will have to do without intersectionality. Folks, you don't create intersectionality. Intersectionality is there. Okay. Continuing. The private prison by Rudnin. The private prison complex are seeking to profit from probation and parole, as well as their mass incarceration of prisoners. Yeah, that's what they do. Daniel Lado. Wow, we are now drilling down intersectionality to the level of occupation. Of course. Intersectionality has so many facets it ain't funny. And of course, there's Mike Cisak. So Egberto is talking about identity politics by the left, claiming it's by some conspiracy group other than the political left. Oh boy. You're smarter than that, Cisak. You're much smarter than that. I gave an complete explanation to a young man in Starbucks why we must continue to practice identity politics. I mean, it's a catchword, right? A lot of people might say, you're playing identity politics. Yeah, bet your life I am. Because different identities have different outcomes and results because of the inputs, we get different results. So you have to play identity, and it's not playing identity politics. You have to have identity politics so that one can make the necessary adjustments to each identity to bring equal access to success. All right, folks, we're at the end of the show. So what I want to tell you guys, first of all, is thank you so kindly for listening. I want to encourage all of you to share this show. It is imperative that you do. It is imperative if we are to get the truth out, if we are to educate folk, if we are to let people know that they're being played by the plutocracy. Donald Trump is playing his base. But so are the establishment Democratic Party is also playing its base. Progressives are out there fighting like hell to open the doors, to use a prism to separate all the crap from the reality, from the right things to do. And that's what we do. Politics Done Right, this is your show. Politics Done Right is your show. You can give it direction. You can actually have interactive commentary on this show. Please go ahead and support us at patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. Again, that is patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. It is important that you support us. We do the same. We support Daily Cost Op-Ed News, coffeepartyusa.com. We support KPFT. We support a lot of progressive sites because we know that the other side have infinite funds. All we have are the pennies that we can get from you. So I ask you to subscribe to Politics Done Right. Become a member of Politics Done Right. And what it means is you would be instrumental in getting the message out. We are going to have a whole lot more to offer you as far as bringing these progressive candidates on air. So folks, this is the end of the show. Please go to patreon.com/politics done right. It's right there on your screen. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, patreon.com/politics done right. Thank you so kindly for having been or for spending this time with us. My name is Egberto Willies. And you know what I'm going to say right now? We are, I want to say it again. I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.